All right, so how are we doing? Oh my God, did we do it? Synchronized. Okay, so here's what happened. I don't think it's the camera. I think I know what happened. I have my camera plugged into a USB hub. I took it out and plugged it right into the computer. But I don't think this camera plays well with USB 3.0. I have external hard drives that are the same problem because they're older. They don't work well with 3.0, with USB 3.0. And I'm wondering if that's the problem. I'm wondering if that was the hiccup. I plugged it back into my USB hub, so hopefully we're okay. I apologize for spending the first 15 minutes having to deal with this nonsense. Yeah, we didn't do the fusion dance right. All right, so welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, I don't know why. I thought USB 3.0 was supposed to be superior, but it's not. Does your computer have a built-in? No. This is a tower. This is a computer tower. This is the computer I built a few months ago. So yeah, this is a tower. Crap cameras topic. I do want to switch cameras. I do want to go to the Sony A5100. That is like a $450 computer. I would then need the Elgato Cam Link, which would make it a lot easier to plug it into the system. That, of course, is followed by taxes. And I want to do that, but that's a long way off. If you look at the stream, you can see what my soda exploding in the audience. Now to start the stream again. Okay, so yeah, what I was talking about before was just about how after too many games, I came home and I still did more stuff. Thursday was my first full-blown day of not doing anything, like not leaving the house or anything like that. And not that I don't mind it, but I still streamed. Like, I still did something. I didn't actually sit around and do absolutely nothing all day. New gift sub badge. Oh, I didn't even see those. So yeah, so I'm still doing stuff. Like, I haven't actually had a full-blown day of doing absolutely nothing all day. Everything's been fun though. That's the important thing, is that I've had a lot of fun. We went to the beach, which is the beach is one of my, the beach is my, I've got all the money that I ever want. Where do I want to finally end up living? And it's going to be near the beach. So, like, I went there, I came home and relaxed for a little bit, went to TooManyGames, which is a blast. That's always a great time. This was probably one of my, we'll talk about it in a second. I talked about it earlier this week, but I wanted to talk about it on the show. But I probably had more fun than I've ever had at TooManyGames. And Unqualified Gamer right there, everybody in the chat, do me a big giant favor and say happy birthday, because Unqualified Gamer's birthday is actually today. Move to Rhode Island, no matter what state you live in. You'll be Rooster. I would love to live in Rhode Island or somewhere up there where there are a lot of beaches, but there's a lot of winter and not a whole lot of summer, because it's 90-something degrees out right now, and I cannot stand it. Greg with the super beard. It's seagulls perched on his arms. Hey, I would do it. Happy birthday, Joey. No, real Chris. Unqualified Gamer is not Joey. That's why I said this is actually his birthday. So yeah, it was a blast, but this past 2 weeks has been great. It always feels like it goes super fast as far as vacations go. No vacation is enough. No break is enough. And I don't hate my job. I'm not someone who absolutely despises going into work every day. But if I had to choose between working and not working, I would choose not working. I don't think that there are a lot of people who would rather work than not work. You know what I mean? Like, you want to have money, you want to do everything that you want to do, but you would rather have money and not work. Or rather, you would rather have money and not have to work. because I think that if I did win the lottery, I would still get a job. I would still want to do something to occupy my time that is a little bit scheduled. I'd get a job at like a video game store where I don't, they pay me in store credit or something. Like there's something silly like that. But I don't want to have to do things. Not having a job seems kind of boring. It depends. If you're loaded, you can do stuff. One of my dreams has been to go on a year-long no one wants to work. See, Ryan, I say no one wants to have to work. If you think about those senior citizens who they go their whole lives fighting for retirement. They get to the end and they actually retire. And what do? After a few years, they get jobs. They get little jobs somewhere, or at least that's the way it used to be. They get these little jobs because, that point where they can retire is moving back further and further lately. But you get jobs because it's a little bit boring doing nothing. But if you've got money, you're doing stuff. You're participating in your hobby. I know people that don't have hobbies, and that's so weird to me. It's so strange to not have a hobby. Like, I don't know. I feel like there has to be some activity that you designate as separate from the rest of your life that you do because of that. Whether you want to use the word escape or not, there needs to be something that you actively like to do to get away. And I don't know that watching TV counts. I don't know that really counts, because watching TV is the thing you come home and you decompress to do. You know what I mean? Like, you sit down and you put the TV on. That's what so many people do. And it's not the same as going out and actively finding a hobby to me. I need purpose. See, real edgy, but there are ways to have purpose without work. That's why there are ways to have purpose without work. But, that's a topic for another time. Even if he did win the lottery, it would still work. Cassidy, one of my dreams was, after I was established as far as where I was going to live and everything, I would love to start a business. I would love to start a gaming cafe where, every week we have different events where we, some days it's about tabletop gaming, some days it's about video gaming. When the hot Mario Maker came out today, this weekend at my gaming cafe, we would have Mario Maker weekend where you would come in and you would be able to play the game. We would have people there that are trying to design levels. Like, I would try and make it a fun thing. Ultimately it would be work, but it's work that I choose to do, that I manage myself, and realistically, I could probably get out close to any time I wanted to. If I were loaded, I would get out anytime I wanted to. Bloodstained coffee. Yeah, we would hold raffles for giveaways for rare games, for stuff that just recently came out. Bloodstained had a Kickstarter where they gave you backer copies. What if I had a bunch of backer copies there to give away as prizes, raffle prizes for the day that the game came out? Believe me, I loved it. AR Mega Man, Galaxy Cafe. Galaxy Cafe is where I would say. Or a Galaxy Cafe or Geek's Corner. I've always liked Geek's Corner. What's that? What's 40? What's 40? I'm 40. I won't be 40 for long, but I'm 40. I would love to see someone bring the PC gaming cafe idea to the US. There are a few gaming area, like stores and stuff, where they have, it's usually comic book stores where they've got a bunch of board games and stuff, but the idea of a gaming cafe, I say cafe and I don't know that I really mean cafe, but just a sort of gaming haven, maybe a juice bar or something, definitely a snack setup of some kind. But that's something that I always wanted to do. I just spent 40 on Jurassic World Evolution. Okay, I would say name it. Yeah, Cassidy, I always like Galaxy Cafe. I always got a kick out of that name. Gamer Juice. Yeah, oh my God, was so Gamer Fuel. Or a pub. No, not a pub. I don't want alcohol there. I don't want people drinking. The last thing I want is a bunch of drunk people near all of the video games. I don't want that. One of my favorite things, I used to work, one of the stations that I worked at was in an actual cafe, and on Tuesday mornings at 10 in the morning, they would have a fairy princess show up, and she'd be dressed as a princess and everything, and it was story time. And they would sit down with the really small kids, and it was during the school years, like the school time of year, and then it was like the moms with the 2 and 3 year olds who weren't old enough to go to school yet, and they would have like story time, and it was like an hour story time, and then the fairy princess would read them their story, and she would emote it all up and everything, and then the moms would have their coffee, they would have their pastries and everything, and they would eat at the cafe, and then a few of them would stay with the kids, and then they would watch everything. I would love to have something like that for little kids with video games, where we've got, little video game things set up for them, and they can try them out. Maybe we'll have a storybook reader that comes in, but they read nerdy themed stories. All my friends are dead, and the Star Wars kids book with all the illustrations in it. But yeah, that's that's a fantasy. And I hate to say it, because people start businesses all the time, so it's not totally a fantasy. But I would have to sell all of my collection in order to fund it. I would love to go to one of those bars that have arcade games. I think someone mentioned Barcade. Real Chris, it's called Barcade. There's a couple of them. I like it, but Barcade is not an arcade where they have alcohol. Barcade is a bar where they have some video games, and I didn't like that. I don't like that it's not a video games first kind of crowd when they come in there. You're looking for a tech support guy for this business. I probably would be, Experiment. The sad thing is, there was actually a business location not far from me where that would have worked perfectly, but it became a beer distributor. So with that being said, we're going to switch into the first topic here. Too many games. I'm going to steal that from I believe it's Justin that usually says something like that. Too Many Games was this past weekend, and I love going to Too Many Games. Too Many Games is one of my favorite events of the year, if not my favorite event of the year. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Justin that says that. One of my favorite events of the year, hands down, no question. I love doing it. I love not just the event itself, but I love going to the hotel and hanging out with everybody. I love seeing everybody. I love when we go to go get food and stuff, which was fantastic this year. I'll get into that. But it was a fantastic time. Now, I talked about this for anybody that is regularly here. I did talk about this on Monday. And I showed off the pickups that I got. So I won't really go over the pickups. I do have, I was gifted 2 games. I was actually gifted It'll Do 2 by I Play My SNES, who comes in here sometimes. And I was gifted Saga Frontier 1 for the PS1, who I was told who that was that gifted it to me, and or I guess donated. I use the word gifted, and I guess I mean donated. And I forget who it was. They're probably here now. Was that Hero? That wasn't Hero? Yeah, Saga Frontier 1. The cover looks so cute. Problem is, I live in the attic. It was a fantastic time. I went Thursday, and then Thursday I actually got there really early. The con starts Friday at 2 p.m. So I went Thursday, which is what I normally do. I got there at about 1:30, and nobody was there. Everybody was hanging out. They were all en route, so in one way or another, because everybody was getting there in different ways. So I'm hanging out in the lobby where I'm there. Excuse me. I'm in the lobby for 4 hours, and we're having a blast. We busted out the Switches, and we're playing Smash Brothers. We're doing 4-player Smash and stuff. We were just talking to people, just having good conversations. It's so fun, and it's so easy. Unqualified Gamer, it'd be hella expensive though, UK based. Tomcat, to to have a Too Many Games at in UK or to come over here. We had at least one person who was here from Australia. We had a few people from Canada, California, I think Florida. We had a couple of. We had people, to come over. We had people from all over. You'd be surprised if your flight is your biggest issue. Tomcat, flight's going to be your biggest issue. If you're able to come over here with 3 friends and get a small room for just a couple of nights, you're actually not, as far as hotel stay, you're not doing that bad. There's a Target store literally across the street from the hotels. So as far as getting food and stuff, you can keep your costs down by eating there. You know, you don't want to have 3 meals a day at the convention. The con doesn't start till 2 p.m. Thursday, 2 p.m. Friday. So if you come in early Friday morning, you only need to pay for Friday night and Saturday night. Sunday night, the con ends at 5. We had a ton of people who left the con halfway through Sunday. To be completely honest, next year, because not a lot happens on Sunday night for us, next year I'm honestly considering just staying until Sunday, getting the hotel through Saturday, like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and then Sunday go to the convention and just leave from there. Australia, that's the other side of the world. Yeah, Cassidy, and we had people that were from Australia, because it's not just a video game convention. It's not just I'm gonna go buy a bunch of games. It is a meetup. It is probably one of the few times that people meet up from online. They get to meet in person all year. You know, this is their chance. This is their opportunity. So people have turned it into a big trip for them. Did you stream this week? Portlock streamed every day. Did a 6-hour stream yesterday. Yeah, we're back, Portlock. I do want to go sometime. Just money. Yeah, money's always going to be tight. Lilac, if money is tight, I still recommend trying to go. But I would tell you that if it is at all possible to save for the entire year. You know, I was at a point where you get your income tax. Some of that money goes to Too Many Games. You get birthday money, Christmas money, that goes aside and it goes to the trip for Too Many Games. Like, I know it seems excessive, but going at least one time is definitely worth it. I know people that went once and they did the whole weekend and then never went back again for the whole weekend. Maybe stopped in once in a while. People who live far away. It just may not be worth it for people to do it. I'm definitely going, yeah, Unqualified Gamer. I better see you there next year. I didn't see you there at all this year, and I'm a little disappointed about that. And I would expect a room or something. There is actually a good Asian cuisine restaurant near there too. For me, it's money and the drive out there from where I live that's giving me anxiety. Yeah, Hero Hyrule, I would recommend getting a few friends that want to do this and doing that with them, just so that it alleviates some of that anxiety. There was a guy that I talked to. He came up from deep south, like I forget exactly where it was. He came up with his family, and his family's not interested in doing any of that stuff. They don't care about video games. So they came up to go to the city, to go to Philadelphia, and then I think around Oaks, and then left him at the convention to hang out for Saturday. That's a cool idea. You know, if you have family and it's family vacation time, talk to them about, listen, I wanted to be straight up. That's the one thing that I think a lot of younger people are afraid to be straight up, because you grow up thinking, my parents make the plans. That's it. And that's how it all works. And I don't have a say in it. And realistically, you probably do. You know, talk to your parents and say, it was not Link. Linky did that. Linky did leave relatively early, but it was another guy. It was somebody I had never met before. And that was what happened. You know, talk to your family and say, you know, I would really like to go to this convention one time. A lot of people that I know go there. This is something that I really like. For our family vacation, can we go to Philadelphia, or can we go somewhere near there so that I can go to the convention one day? If they say no, they say no. But it may be a way for you to do it, you know, save money, because I know that there's a lot of people who their parents won't let them go because they're afraid of them going by themselves. You know, you're going to want to do this at least once. You know, if you're 12 years old, obviously you can't plan this all out by yourself. But if you're approaching, you know, high school, college years, you know, those are years when people, as weird as it sounds, I don't want this to sound like one of Silver's nuggets. But people, as you get older, they're looking for you to make more mature decisions, more informed decisions. So, you know, coming to Too Many Games might be one of those chances where you can show them that you can plan all of this stuff out, learn how to book a hotel room, and come down and have fun. It's a family. Still calling the police on Silver's Nuggets. What? I don't understand. What is wrong with Silver's Nuggets. Yeah, my dad always told us to speak our minds and ask. And I apologize, I'm rambling, so I'm not really looking at the chat. My dad always told us to speak our minds and ask to talk about what we want. Worst case scenario, you get a no, which is where you were before you were asking. Exactly. Well, for one, the text is not cropped very well. What? It's not cropped very well? That's fine. Those hard edges at the bottom of the G and the N, they're supposed to be there. Johnny's Too Many Games video convinced me I want to go when I'm able to. It's such a great time to go. Well, you can't eat a nugget made of silver. I mean. So yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast. So we went Thursday. We hung out. Friday we go, and it's the convention starts at 2, so we go in and we hang out. We walk around the arcade room. The arcade room, they changed it now. The arcade room actually opens at noon, I think, but then the vendor floor opens at 2. So we went early, and I walked around the arcade room, hung out for a while, and you know, went into the con, looked around, bought some stuff. I actually didn't buy a whole lot of stuff. So I shopped around and mostly, talked to people, mostly hung out, met people. That night was the Screenwave party. So we went to the Screenwave party. And it sounds like I've got a quick thing to fix later. So we went to the Screenwave party. And I went last year, and last year was terrific. They had karaoke, but I did not sing. I got really drunk last year. This year, I actually didn't get drunk. I only had a few drinks, literally 3. Yeah, 3. And so I didn't get drunk. We had a ton of fun. We sang some karaoke. I sang STP Vaseline. And then I sung Comet from Steven Universe with Johnny. And then later on, I sung Shout by Tears for Fears, but I'm actually pretty bad at that song in karaoke, so there you go. The arcade room, I got to play Commander Keen 4, and I died at the first level. What's the Screenwave party? The Screenwave party is a party for members of Screenwave Media, which is what SGB is a part of, and they get to bring guests. So I go for that. That's how I get in. Yeah, I believe you had a lovely duet with John. Yeah, that was for Comet. Is Drunk Greg best Greg? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Drunk Greg is more fun than Bummed Out Anxiety Greg, but that's not something I have to achieve all the time. But at least I let it all out. I know they were the things I could do without. Is Drunk? No, Tomcat. Drunk Greg is not an asshole. They're definitely not. I am the lovey-dovey drunk. I am the one that wants to thank you so much for being cool and thank you. I love you. And I don't say that. I don't say that to a lot of people, but I'm gonna say it right now. I love you. Like that's drunk Greg. Drug Greg. Experiment. No, drug Greg hasn't existed for a long time. Can drunk Greg kick normal Greg's ass? Probably, but drunk Greg will probably fall asleep first. Is Hungry Greg me? Hungry Greg is grouchy, and usually in a bit of pain. The land was cool as well. They had this big giant land thing, which I'm not going to get into. I don't do the land stuff. I do feel like the land area was a bit more gigantic than it needed to be. I don't know how important it all was. That's something that you would have to ask somebody who works for TMG or belongs to them or something, because I don't know. Like it felt like land people went in and then didn't leave, which means that they're not partaking in the rest of the convention. You know, the vendors aren't making money off of the land players because the land players don't leave the land area. Because apparently, I think that was a pay area. I think you had to pay a separate fee to go into the land stuff. Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God. AR, I feel like there's got to be more Supers and Saiyans in there. I don't know if I have a drunk side. I'm just kind of fueled by whiskey at this point. Yeah, so the land area, I don't know how significant it was to the average con goer. I know I didn't set foot in it. I walked around it because the food court was back there, and all I had was the only thing I got from the food court that past weekend was a big ass pretzel. I think there was a Mario Kart tournament. I know that Smash Philadelphia was hosting the Smash Brothers tournament, and there were a bunch of smaller tournaments, none of which I remembered to go and look at. I didn't even set foot into the indie area. I always mean to go in at a decent time and check out a lot of indie games. Last year I did. Last year I actually did check out a lot of indie games. This year I just not. I just was not. Used to be addicted to drugs. I used to smoke pot, Cassidy, a long time ago. Long time ago. I used to smoke pot. That's about it. I never did like pills or hard drugs or anything. Like the worst pills I ever did were I probably took one more Advil than I should have. What's that? I'll look when I open. So I mean, so that was Friday, and then that was the Screenwave party. Had a blast. You know, came back to the room and went right to sleep. Saturday woke up. Saturday was probably was kind of a bad day. And I'll explain. It was still awesome. It was still fantastic. Almost the entire day. My biggest problem is that I get crowd anxiety. If the crowd is way too thick, if I feel like I can't move in the crowd, I get crowd anxiety. 7 years of Too Many Games, I've never had crowd anxiety there until this past Saturday. It was the first time I ever had it. If Ryan is still here, I believe Ryan was with me, or somebody was with, I'm pretty sure it was Ryan. Once we walked in, I think they were doing a raffle. So there were, right at the entrance, was about 400 people. All jammed up. You could barely move. I was you were there with me. My anxiety ramped up dramatically. We got through the crowd, and then I made it to the rest of the floor so we could walk around. It was still so crowded. My anxiety never dipped back down because of that entrance anxiety, and then I was just anxious the whole time. I was there maybe 30 minutes, somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. I left. I had to go and leave. They had set up a creator and guest area. If you had one of those two badges, they took the smallest panel room from years before and they turned it into a sort of Hero Hyrule, back to the grind for me. I'll catch you later. I'll catch the VOD when I get home. Thank you, Hero Hyrule. Have a great day. So they turned it into this sort of lounge area. And I needed it. I needed the escape. So I went there, and I was in the lounge area for about an hour and a half. I probably about an hour. When it was time for me to get up, I left. We went somewhere else. I think I went and got some food or something. I couldn't be in the con right then and there. I think I went back to the room, and I came back later. I did come back to the con later, 5 or 6 o'clock, and but I mean, that was the worst part of the day. You know what I mean? I missed a few things, but I wasn't really too concerned with it. So that was Saturday. Saturday night, Saturday night. I'm not gonna do name dropping or anything. I try not to do that. But Saturday night we had a big dinner that was planned for us, which I believe Ryan was part of the planning for that. So thank you very much for that, Ryan. It was a very surreal experience for me. I was not a huge fan of the restaurant just because the prices were a bit, so I had my entree and water and bread that was on the table. I'll give you this, though. Speaking of food, I need to get some. I'll give you this, though. The food was damn good. For it was $18. I had chicken and like garlic chicken, I think it was called, with some pasta or something. Mashed potatoes. It was damn good food. It was very incredible. Yeah, it wasn't like 30 people and managed to organize. My biggest problem was that they didn't do any kind of call ahead seating or anything, even though they were told that it was going to be 30 people. So what they did was it was basically 30 people just sitting sort of in the same area, which worked out. It ended up working out okay. But I feel like if you know that there's 30 people coming, maybe you could make an exception as far as the call ahead seating and have something a little more planned out. We were, at one point, I want to say there was about 10 of us, literally standing next to tables with people eating food because they were trying to figure out where to seat us. And it was a bit disorganized. The service was kind of so-so, and I had a couple people. The problem was none of the places took reservations, so they didn't care to. A couple people were saying, "Oh, well, it's busy." The service was a little slow, and people were saying, "Oh, well, it's really busy." But here's the problem: if you're a restaurant on a Saturday night, possibly the busiest night for a restaurant, if you are not capable of handling the restaurant at near full capacity, remove some tables because you don't have enough employees. There should have been more people there. When we finished our food, I waited 10 minutes for the check to come around. It never came around. I told them, could we get the check? We've been waiting for a little while for the check. He said, okay, and it was another 10 minutes before the guy randomly showed up with the checks. And that, to me, was a little, I don't know, I feel like you could have been planning that a little bit better, but ultimately, it was not a big deal. I would put it this way, it didn't even put me off from going back to that place. So it's not even a question of, well, I'll never go back there again. So we got out of there and we took a big giant picture with a ton of people, and it was so awesome to be there, part of that picture. And I don't mean to sound like I'm selling myself short. I don't want to sound like I'm a loser and they're all winners. Why am I here? Like, I don't want it to sound like that, but it was more of just, I would love to do this. I would love to do all of this for a longer period of time in a bigger scope. And this is the beginning. You know what I mean? This is like slightly above the beginning here. Doing the show like this. I mean, you saw our technical problems. So to be around so many people who have been through all of this part of it, and that's the thing. I don't look at, when I look at some of my favorite content creators, some of the bigger ones, I don't look at them and say, and act like they started with everything. Man, they must be nice to be at the top. I don't say anything like that because I know that they were at the bottom. I know that there was a point where they weren't even doing this at all, and they decided, I'm going to try and do this. And some of them, I'm going to try and do this in what could be considered a congested atmosphere. There's a lot of people trying to make video game channels. There's a lot of people trying to do reviews and compilation videos and all kinds, and streaming and all kinds of stuff. So what I feel like when I'm with content creators like that on that that are already up on that level is that these are, in a way, these are my peers. These are my peers who have made it. These are the ones that have put in the time and put in the effort and have developed their talent so much that they are at this level. And I want to believe that I'm on my way, but I know that I'm not there. So it does make me feel a little bit in awe to be around these people, and so it was fantastic. I felt honored to be around all of these people who do these amazing things. I will say, I'll tell you one story. I did post a picture of it. I don't like approaching content creators, celebrities, anything like that, when they're not in a fan meetup environment. I will never approach anybody when they're sitting at the table at a convention. where they're sitting in the food court area, because that's not where they're going to meet fans. They're going to meet fans at their table or their panel, or they're walking the floor sometimes. You know, that's what they're there for. They're not at a restaurant somewhere to meet fans. So I don't like to approach them. So I didn't want to say to anybody, "Hey, you know, I'm Greg. I'm a huge fan." I didn't want to do any of that. I don't want to be the nerdy fanboy at this event where we're all hanging out. And then I saw people taking pictures with Arlo. And I said, okay, no. I'm not going to open the door. But if you're going to open it, I'm walking through it. So I got my picture with Arlo, which is probably my favorite picture of the convention. And then there were a few other people in the background. It was funny because somebody took the Arlo picture for me. And then I looked at the picture and I realized some of the other faces in the background. I'm like, this is so awesome. I have a hard time wanting to be, and I apologize. I'm not looking at much of this. I have a hard time with wanting to one day be where they are at, but also am not too confident in reaching there myself. Minion, I can tell you right now, I have, Scott is photobomb. Yeah, Scott's in mine too. Scott's in mine, and she says is in mine, and Gil and Aunt Dude are in mine. I dropped my cat. Minion, I can tell you right now that I usually have very little drive. I usually have less confidence, but I know that confidence comes with practice. That's one of the byproducts of practicing something. I play rating with a party of 6. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream, to the Silver Lining. Welcome. I play. I was showing off earlier. It'll do too. Well, I'm not playing it yet. So it's when you practice something and you do it more, you become more confident. That's where the confidence comes from. I don't do many things for the first time ever completely confident. Absolutely not. Hey, Undersoul, what is happening? What do you got? Undersoul, I play is there. Welcome. So you have to do it more. My first stream that I talked on, was it Gradius 3? Was the first one that I actually talked on, that I had the microphone set up. I was so nervous to talk and to do this, and I felt so dumb like doing it. My first time on SGB was Metroid Fusion, and I remember not doing a whole lot of talking just because I felt like an outsider. I felt like, what am I doing here? Like, this is not that I shouldn't be doing it, but like I feel like an intruder. And then, you know, slowly but surely I got more confident in doing it, and the confidence didn't come from me feeling like I'm getting better. The confidence came from doing it more, so I felt like I was just able to do it more. I didn't feel like I was able to do it better, just more. But then slowly but surely, you watch your stuff back, and you start to look at it, and you start to realize, like, oh, this is not. I think what happens is we put our content creators up on sort of not a pedestal, but we tell ourselves that they do this thing that is so impossible to do. And then you do it. When you go and you actually do it, you realize it's just a thing. It's just a thing that you're doing. Like, I've been on SGB a bunch of times. Some people, people tell me that they love like the LA Noire and the Heavy Rain and stuff. I'm not going on there with like a script, and I've got my flashcards with all of my talking points on it. I'm literally going on there. I show up at the house, and then I put headphones. We talk for a little bit, and I put headphones on, and we start doing the thing. And I'm just BSing. You know what I mean? It's just nonsense. I watch the videos back because I don't remember what I said half the time. I'm just talking nonsense. And so it's not this dramatic thing that's happening. Yeah, you're more experienced and comfortable with yourself. I'm sure that's your regular banter with John. The later stuff is my regular banter with everybody. That's more what I'm like. This is my regular banter. Evening, Greg. What I missed, Trav? What's going on? Trav, you didn't miss the show. That's what you didn't miss. BS, you're super. Yeah, I'm not. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, AR. I'm not BSing. I'm super gaming. Yeah, I mean it's all they do. Felt like I was gonna be shaking when I met John. Yeah, I'm glad I was fine. Yeah, just just regular person, and give shit to Elliot and the yeah, it's 1-1. Art Luna, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, so that was Saturday. Saturday was probably one of the most memorable things I'll ever do at Too Many Games. Hey, my baby. Hold on a second. Sit down and relax. Any snacks? Okay. Oh, Kirby Marathon. Shh, that's supposed to be a secret. So that was Saturday. Saturday was probably one of the most memorable times that I'm ever going to have at Too Many Games, and I thank Ryan for it. Yeah, most memorable till we get a bigger dinner next year. Ryan, I'm thinking Olive Garden. Yeah, I mean just a fantastic time. So Sunday came around, and Sunday was a lot more muted. That was John's panel, which was a whole big thing because they removed the small panel room to make that guest lounge that I talked about. So every panel was stepped up. Like anything that the smallest panel room was panel room 2, the middle one was panel room 1, and then main stage was something that they had set up out in another area next to where the cosplay wrestling was. Saturday they did Throne Controllers, which was a very big popular panel, right next to the cosplay wrestling, which was going on at the exact same time. John's panel was Sunday at 2 at the main stage, right next to cosplay wrestling, which was going on again. I don't know if they had it before, but this year they had 2 cosplay wrestlings. So it was kind of annoying. It was kind of an oversight. I think they might have known that it was going to be an issue, but they just couldn't schedule it any other way. That being said, it actually worked out really well. It was actually not impossible to hear Johnny and everybody talk, because it was Johnny, Elliott, and Matt were up there. Throne Controllers was cool. I've been to one Throne Controllers my entire life, and I would love to go back to another one, but you spend an hour and a half before it waiting in line, so I just don't feel like dealing with it. TMG this year felt nearly flawless. I just hated that the main panel was right next to the tournament wrestling area. Yeah, the tournament area wasn't even that bad. It was the wrestling that was really loud. The tournament area, everybody's focused on their game, so it's usually pretty quiet. If it was the end of the tournaments and people were screaming and cheering, I think that might have been a little bit worse. So I mean, and that was Sunday. That was pretty much all of Sunday. Uncle Greg Wrestling went. I don't know when there's. AR, my idea of wrestling is trying to get the package of bacon open. And then we went back to the room. So the stages needed to experiment. The problem is that this area that they had set up, literally they had set up. It's not a pre-existing room. It was just set up open air. And so it was one of the halls which had the cosplay wrestling, or Johnny's panel, the cosplay wrestling, I think the LAN area, and then the food court over to the side. Like, it was one big hall that had all of this stuff set up. It might not be so bad if they do the same thing, but figure out some sort of some kind of barrier. Okay. That would help, but they hadn't this year, so we'll see what happens. And the land was quiet. Yeah, everybody was sucked into their game. I believe it was empty out warehouse, just some low, with just some low barrier. That would be nice. Yeah, it was Hall C. The entire venue is actually very, very large. They just don't normally have all of the building. Someone told me that there is one more hall, a smaller one, that they will have access to possibly next year, but they're at capacity for that building. So next year, I picture it being there. The year after, I imagine they're going to try and move it if it does keep growing that way. Yeah, they really need to open up the third hall. The third hall so it needs to be spread out more. So yeah, this year experiment. This year, last year was the first year that they had opened up that back hall and had the food court open back there, but there was nothing else in that space. This year was the first time that that entire room was used up, and it was full to capacity. So I worry that the con is reaching the limits of what that venue can do for it. I worry because I like that venue. I like that it's out of the way. People have talked years before. Every time this happens, people talk about, oh, well, they need to try and go to Philly. They need to try and go to the Pennsylvania Convention Center, which is in the heart of Philadelphia. I don't like it. The rooms are way too expensive, so it's going to be extremely limiting for myself and a lot of other people. I also don't like the fact that when you leave the convention center in Philadelphia, you're in Philadelphia. You stop being at the convention and you start automatically being in Center City, Philadelphia. Where it is now, when you leave the convention, you're still kind of at the convention. When you go to the Wawa, you see tons of people there that are from the convention. When you go to the hotel, half the people that are there are from the convention. You're still kind of there. If it goes to Philly, the second you walk out of the door, you're in Center City, Philadelphia. There are more normies than there are convention goers, and I don't like it. Is there even something interesting to there's a lot interesting to Philadelphia, but it's not video game related. Philadelphia, unless there's a lot going on that I don't see, Philadelphia is not very video gamey, geeky centric. There are not a lot of, tons of comic book shops and video game stores on every corner. Like, there's not a whole lot of that. More than there has been, but definitely not as much as I would like for there to be. Yeah, and traffic in Center City is ridiculous. The only good thing about Center City, Philly, if you are coming in on a plane, there's a train right from the airport basically to the lower level of the convention center. So you go right from the airport to the con. That's fine. I mean, you're still going to have to go to your hotel room. My concern is just that the price of going to the convention is going to skyrocket, and I don't want that to happen. I mean, if I were to go to the States, then why should I go to Philly? Philly has a very bustling history section with, things like Independence Hall, and there's a lot of history here. There are a lot of interesting events, interesting places to go. We have a nice museum scene. There is a decent, the Philadelphia Art Museum is on Ben Franklin Parkway. The Parkway is actually littered with a bunch of smaller museums. There are like the Franklin Institute, the Rodin Museum. There's a bunch of stuff there to see and do. There's a lot of history in the city, especially if you're a history buff. There are some bits of, if you do like architectural searches, there is a lot of interesting architecture. It's always weird to me to see on the cornerstone of a building 1783 or something like that, and it's a CVS. Because the building is either still usable or it has at least been deemed a historical site, so they don't want to destroy it. So they do these sorts of weird things, and it's very interesting. Having never been to Philly, I'd really like to spend some time in the city. Yeah, Ryan, you know what, Ryan? You what you should probably do is next year for TooManyGames, come up Wednesday. See if you can get a couple people to stay one more night Wednesday. Come up Wednesday so you can travel and relax. Thursday, go to the city. Go to the museum, go get some food. There's tons of restaurants in Philly, tons of different kinds of food. And, spend the day there. Come back to the hotel room Thursday night, and then Friday you have the con for the rest of the weekend. Try to pick an extra day out of it. I mean, if you get up here early enough on Thursday, you can just do that Thursday. Take a train or something and take the train right into Center City, Philadelphia, and then just tour there. It was a good time though. TooManyGames was a fantastic time. as always, you got some cool stuff, met tons of cool people, hung out with tons of cool people. Really, probably the best Too Many Games I've had so far, and I very much enjoyed it. But